Today is part 2 of Healthy Kitchen Basics. We've already covered how to wipe the slate clean and to get the tools that you need to prepare a delicious, low glycemic meal. So, now that you have your kitchen ready, all you need are the right products and the knowledge on how to prepare them in a way that will be beneficial to your waistline and your health. So it's time to stock your kitchen. This means grocery shopping. Make sure you prepare a list ahead of time. You may think you're too rushed to get a grocery shopping list together, but spending a few minutes thinking about the absolute necessities will save you time and money once you're at the store. Large chain grocery stores, where the majority of us shop these days, have aisles and aisles full of multiple variety of things. It's easy to get distracted and end up with more than was part of the plan or the budget. Invest an extra 5 to 10 minutes to jot down things you actually need. Review your journal and the food lists, or use transitionslifestyle.com. With the menu planner and grocery lists, it can make your grocery store visit a breeze. And when you do finally get to the grocery store, make sure to shop on a full stomach. Never go grocery shopping when you're hungry. You may not make the best judgment on what to get or how much to get when your blood sugar is running low. Or you may just end up grabbing anything in sight because your body is yearning to be fed. And to help us with more Healthy Kitchen Basics, our friend Chef Doug Boxley.
Most people think that picking out fruits and vegetables can be, fairly easy. But for other people, they fear this necessary part of shopping. So for vegetables, basic thing that you want to look for is size. You want to get vegetables that are in between the sizes. If the vegetable is too small, then it might be underripe and it might not have the, the flavor, and it might be kind of hard. But if it's too large, then it might be on its way out. So really you want to get something that's a medium-sized vegetable. Color is always important. You want to look for things that have nice, bright, vibrant colors. And weight. Things that are going to be a little heavier are probably going to have more of the things that you want. Fruits are the things that are a little bit more tricky. I'm going to try and group the fruits into different categories for you so that it can make things a little bit easier. The first category I want to talk about is berries. So you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to find berries in this plastic container, and you want to make sure that the berries look ripe. They have no blemishes or mold on them or dimples. Color is going to be really important. Another thing that you're looking for is the actual container. Is there any dampness in the container, or is the container stained at all? If the container is stained, that means these berries, they're on their way out and you probably wouldn't want to use them. As far as storage, when you bring the berries home, the best way to store them would be on paper towels, either layered or single layer in an open air container. And then you're going to want to put a moist paper towel on top, and that's going to make sure that your berries stay nice and fresh. You want to avoid overwashing or handling your berries, because that's also going to cause them to be damaged or mold. The next group of fruits that I wanted to talk about is citrus fruits, and that's going to be your limes, your lemons, your oranges, grapefruits, and they're all about the same. You want to look for a consistency in shape, something that is well formed. You also want something that's going to be firm but rend under a little pressure, so you might want to give it a little squeeze. As far as the rind is concerned, or the peel, you want it to be smooth, not rough. Color is always good. You want to look for some nice vibrant colors, but really what's important is the smell. When you smell something, you're going to find out how it's going to taste. A lot of taste is the smell. In fact, it's about 70 to 75% of taste is coming out of your odor receptors. So the next group of fruits I want to talk about are plums and nectarines and peaches, and we kind of put them all together. Something that my mother used to tell me about picking out this fruit is to touch your nose. You touch your nose and you're getting used to the consistency, the firmness, and how much it gives. And then you're going to go to your peach or your plum or your nectarine. You want to give it a little squeeze, and it should feel about the same. The other thing you can check for when you're looking at peaches is right at the stem. If you feel at the stem should be the same consistency as the rest of the fruit. So if the stem is a little hard, then it's going to be a little underripe. If it's too soft, then it's going to be overripe. So, and of course, you got to give it that smell. Make sure that your produce is smelling fresh. Next, I want to give you a few pointers on tomatoes. And yes, tomatoes are a fruit. When you're looking at a tomato, it doesn't necessarily have to be a perfect round shape. In fact, some of your tomatoes that are irregular are going to be better. So what are you looking for? Well, as always, color is a good indicator. You want to give it that smell. But really what you want is a fresh tomato that is just picked from the vine. Tomatoes, they only ripen on the vine, so once they're picked, they're not going to ripen anymore. So the best thing to do would be to find locally grown tomatoes, something from your farmer's market, and that's going to give you your best flavor and best taste. The last fruit that I wanted to talk about is bananas. Now, bananas, when they're ripe, they're going to have a yellow peel. And even if they have a little bit of brown on the peel, that's going to be okay, because inside it's still going to be ripe and perfect for eating. Bananas are going to ripen really quickly, and they're going to continue to ripen when they're off the vine or at your house. So buying bananas that have a little bit of green in it might be okay. So if you wanted to get one banana for the day that you're going to eat it, that's perfectly ripe already, great. But if you're going to get a whole bunch, a little green might be all right. Storing your fruits and vegetables are pretty easy. Most of them can be kept in the refrigerator. A couple that you want to keep outside of the refrigerator, one is your banana, potatoes, onions, garlic, lemons, limes. Putting these in the refrigerator, some strange things might happen. They're either going to over-ripen or they're just not going to have as much flavor as they would if you kept them out. If you do keep other fruits outside the refrigerator, they're going to ripen a little bit faster, so you're just going to have to use them up a little bit quicker. But if you find that your fruits are ripening too fast, you can always cut them into pieces, properly contain them, put them in an airtight container, put them in your freezer, and you can use them for those transition shakes later. But the last thing I wanted to say about fruits and vegetables is you really need to try and buy them in season. And you can look online or you can look in any book and they'll tell you when the seasons are for them.
The best vegetables to buy with the glycemic index in mind and are 20 and under on the glycemic scale are asparagus, bean sprouts, beet greens, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, celery, and cucumber. The best fruits are cantaloupe and rhubarb that are 20 and under. And then you have apples, fresh apricots, bananas, blackberries, cherries, cranberries, and grapefruit. But remember, don't get overly crazy with the glycemic index. Fruits and vegetables, when fresh, are loaded with enzymes, fiber, and a ton of nutrients. I'd much rather have you cheat with a high glycemic melon than a fruit roll-up. Lastly, with your fruits and vegetables, cut, clean, and sort the day of purchase so that it's easy and quick to grab. Have 1 to 2 small blocks of time each week to prepare grabbable, on-the-run foods. This will help reduce the chance of binging.
So what do you look for when you go to the store and you're looking for herbs and spices? A lot of times these things are going to come in plastic, but over time the plastic's going to break down and it's going to get into your herbs and spices and that flavor's going to come out, and you're not going to want that in your cooking at all. Really what I recommend would be any kind of resealable, airtight, glass jar or bottle, preferably a dark glass if you can find it. Light and heat and humidity, these are things that are going to destroy your herbs and spices. So where do you want to store these things? So you're in your kitchen, and the best place to store your herbs and spices, of course, right above the oven. Wrong. Worst place. Lots of light, lots of heat, lots of moisture. I know it's convenient, but that's really not where you want to put them. What I'm going to recommend to you is a drawer or a cabinet, something that's going to be cool and dark, not a lot of moisture. So how long do herbs and spices last? Usually, if you just get your ground spice or your dried herb, it'll probably be about 1 year. Now, if you're getting a whole spice and you're grinding it yourself, well then that might last a little longer, maybe up to 3 to 5 years. Now, when talking about dried herbs as opposed to fresh herbs, it's about the ratio of 1/3 dried herb if your recipe is calling for a fresh herb. Of course, fresh herb, they're going to give you that fresher flavor, but dried herbs, definitely you can use as a substitute. When you're cooking with the dried herbs or spices, you kind of want to use a light hand. You can always add more spice, add more herb to the dishes, but once they're in there, it's really difficult to unseason a dish. In fact, it's nearly impossible. So go light. Another good thing to think about is, don't over-season your dishes. A good rule to think about is maybe use 3 herbs or spices in each dish. There's also after cooking seasoning. Basically, your salt and your pepper. Also, you could try putting on your table a little cayenne pepper or maybe a little garlic powder. These are things that you can all put on after the dish is cooked. There's some other spices too. There's your cinnamon and your nutmeg and your clove. And these are things that are usually associated with sweet dishes. Also, when you're cooking, don't be afraid to be a little adventurous. If you're looking at a recipe and it calls for thyme, maybe you could substitute savory. If it calls for parsley, maybe try a little cilantro. It's up to you. Whatever flavors you think are going to be good, whatever you think that is going to be tasty to you, you go for.
Now let's talk some protein. In your Transitions journal, you have the menu suggestion of 4 to 6 ounces of protein for a woman and 6 to 8 ounces for men. 4 ounces cooked portion size of protein is approximately the size of your palm and the thickness of a deck of cards. Now, what are the best protein choices? Well, the most common are meats, poultry, and fish. Fish and shellfish, like shrimp, crabs, lobster, and crayfish, are higher in cholesterol than most types of fish, but lower in saturated fat and total fat than most meats and poultry. For the most health benefits, choose fish high in omega-3 fatty acids, such as mackerel, lake trout, herring, sardines, albacore tuna, and salmon.
So how do you go about buying fresh seafood? Well, there's 2 things that you want to look for right off the bat, and one is how long does it take for it to get from the boat to the plate? Obviously, the faster that process, the fresher the fish is going to be. And also, you want to make sure that your fish is being handled correctly. So how do you do that? Well, let's go ahead and start at the seafood store. Are the displays at 32 degrees? Next, you actually want to touch your fish. You want to make sure that the fish is cold to the touch. If it's cool to the touch, that's not good. You want it to be cold so that you can guarantee that 32 degrees. Next thing you want to look for is elasticity. By that, what I mean is spring back. So if you actually touch your fish and it's cold, and you take your finger away, the impression should bounce right back. So you're touching your fish, and the impression's bouncing right back. That's the elasticity of it. If it doesn't do that, that means that the meat is starting to deteriorate. It's getting a little bit older. You're probably not going to want to purchase it at all. Another good indicator that you can look for is actually smell. I know, if you're taking it, you want to smell your fish. You want to make sure that, I know it sounds strange, you don't want it to smell fishy. If you smell the fish and it smells like the ocean, it probably means it's on its way out. So what's fish supposed to smell like then? Well, all fish are different, and they're going to have different smells. But just a few examples, your halibuts, they're going to have an oaky kind of smell. And your whitefish, well, they might have a scent or aroma of cucumbers. Something else that you can look for is the color of the bloodline or the blood or the veins. You don't want anything to be brown or discolored. Your veins need to be red. That's going to ensure that you're getting a fresh product. Similar is the gills. If you're looking at your gills, you want them to be a pinkish or a reddish color. The gills are responsible for the oxygen exchange going into the bloodstream, so the better color on the gills, the fresher your fish is going to be. Every fish is different. You can look for different characteristics for different ones, but basically if you're going by the look, the elasticity, the odor, you're going to be okay.